Not everything needs to be touched to stay alive. There's a wisdom every gardener eventually learns. Not every plant needs to be touched every day. Not every root needs to be checked constantly. Not every seed needs to be dug up just to prove it's growing. Sometimes too much touching becomes interference. Sometimes in trying so hard to care, we stop allowing what we planted to breathe. And that doesn't only apply to soil. It applies to family. It applies to friendships. It applies to elders. It applies to children. It applies to love. It applies to spirituality. It applies to everything we've planted with real intention. There are seasons where we arrive with a full heart, giving, greeting, writing, checking in, asking questions, holding things together, encouraging, blessing, remembering, hugging, initiating. And that's not wrong. Some seasons require water. Some relationships need steady presence in order to take root. But there also comes a time when we have to learn to trust what we've planted, not from pride, not from resentment, not from a punishing silence, but from maturity, from that quiet peace that says, my intentions already in the soil, my love's already been shown, my respect's already been planted, my presence already been known. And if what it was planted is real, it won't die just because we don't touch it every single day. A true root doesn't depend on the gardener's anxiety. Some relationships need less pressure and more trust. Some children need space to stand on their own. Some friendships need room to breathe without feeling measured. Some spiritual paths can't become mechanical obligations. One day you sit at the bóveda. Another day you light a candle. Another day you listen to a song. Another day you go to the river. Another day you simply sit in silence. And all of that's still relationship. Because deep things don't always shout. Deep things often grow quietly. We don't have to prove love every single moment. We don't have to keep digging just to see if the roots are still there. We don't have to push every conversation, every connection, every bond, every home, every altar, every response. Sometimes true trust just begins when we stop touching so much, when we allow life to reveal its own moments, when we observe without turning observation into a test, when we love without turning love into pursuit, when we care without suffocating, when we remain present without needing to control every detail. That's not abandonment, that's wisdom. The gardener doesn't abandon the garden because he stops touching one plant for a while. The gardener simply understands that life's still working while his hands are resting. And that's a powerful lesson. Not everything I love needs my hands on it all the time. Not everything I planted needs my constant watching. Not every relationship needs to be forced in order to prove it exists. Sometimes the most spiritual thing we can do is trust. Trust the seed. Trust the root. Trust time. Trust what was already done with love. Because what's real doesn't always need noise. What's real remains. What's real breathes. What's real grows. Even when the gardener sits quietly, drinks his coffee, lights his incense, listens to his songs, and simply observes how life keeps speaking. Paso firme, no da cambio.